What's good everyone, it's Smudger here. Let's talk about the FJX Imperium, or if you're old school, the Intervention. We're going to run through all of the camos all the way up to Orion, but we'll kick off with a couple of class setups. It's fairly personal preference. I wasn't a huge fan of the scope on it without a lot of the attachments that reduce your aim down sight speed, and as a result I ran the VLK purely for quicker ADS time. It's just a little bit easier. A lot of the maps aren't really friendly towards a big heavy sniper scope anyway, but if you don't want to run that, I'd stick a barrel on it of any choice. This thing will one shot at most ranges in its normal form without a barrel, so you don't need to worry about it too much, but if you are struggling, feel free to pop one on. It is a pretty slow sniper. It is not like the Intervention of old days, that much is for sure, so do just bear that in mind. As it stands, there is no shipment 24/7 to get this done in. I did it all in 10v10 mosh pit. When shipment is here, it will be a lot easier. Even though it's more fast paced, it just generally tends to be a lot easier to get your challenges done, even with the snipers, of course with the exceptions of the long shots. Kicking it off with base camos though, they're all pretty standard. The biggest issue you're going to run into is leveling it up. Just pop a double weapon XP if you have one, is the easiest way to do it, and play the objective as well if you're really struggling. But at level 2, you'll need to get 50 kills, super easy. At level 10, you need to get 2 kills within 10 seconds of each other 20 times. Again, pretty easy. 10 seconds is a deceptively long time, especially in something like 10v10 mosh pit. There's usually enough people around that you should be able to find a couple of people, and if shipment is out, there will of course be many people on the map for you to shoot at. All this challenge boils down to is a bit of map awareness and being aware of where the enemies are going to be popping up, just so you can ready that second shot and you're not having to scope in and look around for enemies. That's all it really comes down to. And then you have 40 kills while focused. All that means is you're pressing in your left stick if you're on controller to hold your breath, as it was. It pops up when you scope in with a scope that allows you to do so. You'll see the little icon that says press L3 in order to focus. Just make sure that is held in while you take your shot, and that will count. At the start of the game, this could be a bit buggy. This seems to have worked out perfectly fine for me now. I didn't have any issues with tracking. And then finally, you have 40 one-shot kills. This sniper rifle, more than capable of getting one-shot kills. The large majority of them will be one-shots. Of course, when that's done, you have to get 3 kills without dying 10 times to get gold camo. With this, it is very much about playing your life. You're not going to want to be running into the busiest parts of any map. It's one of the few ones where shipment might not be the best if you're super struggling with it. It can be quite slow and bulky. 10v10 on some of the more medium-sized maps works really well, just because everyone is spread out enough that you have time to pick your shot without being completely overwhelmed by bodies, but equally you weren't waiting 3 minutes just to find someone on some of the larger maps. If there's no 10v10 and no shipment, which I doubt there will be very often, hardpoint would be my suggestion, purely because it makes people gravitate towards a point and it makes it a bit easier to map out enemy positions. But with all the snipers, not just the Intervention, it is about just playing your life, playing a little bit slower and being aware that you're going to get gunned if you try and run into that middle of the map by someone sat there with a shotgun. When you have gold camo, you do of course move on to the platinum, which is 25 long shot kills. Obviously a bit trickier with a sniper rifle. A lot of the maps don't have great lines of sight for snipers. All it comes down to really is just a bit of lobby surfing. This is where the 10v10 mosh pit actually worked out fairly nicely. I just lobby surfed until I found a map that I knew was going to have long lines of sight, and Tarak is a pretty decent map. Crown Raceway, again pretty decent. It is just about lobby surfing, not just for the map but for the right sort of lobby. You almost want a lobby where a good chunk of the enemy team are also trying to do long shots, because you'll be trading fire along the similar line. If you get a shoot house, go to town on it and just hope that there's someone on the opposite team that are also trying to get their long shots down that middle corridor. When that's done and dusted, you move on to Polyatomic, which is 25 headshots. I think this is where the VLK actually really helps as far as scoping in goes, for me at least. It means that you can get a bit more aggressive and a bit closer to the enemy without having to try and zoom in, all the way with the default scope. The easiest way to do it is to try and get yourself behind enemy lines and pick off enemies with their backs to you, because it gives you that extra second to drag your scope up. With something like an AR or an SMG, you can get away with it a bit more because you're going to be putting a few bullets into them before you kill them, so you can drag your aim up and possibly get the headshot. But with this, it's going to be a one shot, one kill. If you don't shoot them in the head, you're not going to get the headshot. Getting in behind enemy lines is like the greatest thing you can do for this challenge if you're struggling. And of course, when that's done, you unlock the Orion, presuming you've met the requirements for that, which is 51 polyatomic camo challenges completed. And then you are done and dusted with the FJX Imperium, or the Intervention, whatever you want to call it. It's just another sniper at the end of the day. There was nothing particularly spectacular about it. It was definitely in there as a marketing point. There isn't really any benefit to using this. I don't particularly use snipers anyway, probably won't use it again other than to get the 1,000 kills for the ultimate mastery challenges, which we are still cracking on with. But as always with these camo guides, any questions, queries, concerns, pop them down below. I'll do my best to get back to you. And as always, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time.